welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do another series review. This one is the Noctis Magicae series by Sylvia Izzo Hunter, and it consists of The Midnight Queen, which I gave 4 stars, Lady of Magic, which I also gave 4 stars, and then A Season of Spells, which I ended up giving 3 stars. So The Midnight Queen is where we meet Grey, who is studying to become, I can't remember if they're called magicians or sorcerers or wizards or magister. I honestly can't remember, so I'm just going to call them sorcerers. So he's studying to become a sorcerer, but unfortunately he gets into a bit of trouble, and so he is sent away to one of his teacher's estates. There he meets his teacher's daughters and develops a close kinship with the middle daughter, Sophie. Some information comes to light, and Grey, Sophie, her servant, I guess, and her younger sister have to escape, and so they end up running away, end up running south towards London, and over time Sophie and Grey start developing feelings for each other. Sophie discovers more of her magic. It comes down to, in order to protect Sophie, she and Grey get married. It's really cute, I'll talk about that in a sec. But not only do they get married, they also happen to stop a plot of regicide. I liked this because, and this is definitely more of a character series than it is a plot series, because we focus a lot on the characters and their thoughts and things of that nature. And I liked this book because Grey and Sophie kind of fall in love over time. It's definitely not insta-love, but you can see Grey's love of her goes from, oh, well, she's not bad looking, she's not like a beauty, to, when he is asked how he thinks of her, he's like, oh my God, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Why do you ask me these things? So it's really cute to see them both develop these feelings for each other. The second book is Lady of Magic, which sees Sophie and Grey departing Merlin College, and they're going up to the country of Alba. Now, this is all, I think, an alternate timeline of England, because, of course, there's Oxford and London, and, it's a historical fantasy, but it's also kind of an alternate timeline, because they go up towards Alba, which would be modern-day Scotland, to the college in Dunedin, which I'm sure is Edinburgh, because there Sophie can study, continue her studies without the pressure of being a woman. Just FYI, this entire series is very, indicative of women shouldn't be scholars and studying, what have you. But in Scotland, they're more lax about it. And she meets the heir apparent, Lucia McNeil. That's it, Lucia McNeil. And she starts making friends, and then Grey gets kidnapped. And so Sophie ends up getting really sick because apparently their marriage vows were much more binding than they had originally thought. She, her sister, and her sister's companion, is it Joanna? Yes, Joanna, and her companion, who I cannot remember the name right now, run off to try and get Grey back. Well, they get captured, or at least Sophie does, and twisted into this plot to reawaken the magic net, because apparently ages ago there was this magic net laid out over Alba that connected the leaders to the land, and leadership changed clans, and this guy wants to steal it back, so he's trying to kind of take control of that magic net, and he's using foreign wizards of high magical power to do it, but then they're all rescued and it all ends well. My real gripe with this book was that it ended up, the plot literally did not start until halfway through the book, and I'm like, why? Not that I didn't enjoy the first half of the book, but the description you get on the back literally doesn't start till halfway through the book, and I just do not understand it. I still love Sophie and Grey, and Joanna's funny, and everyone's great, but I was like, why does this start halfway through the book? So then we get to the final book in the trilogy, which is A Season of Spells, which I ended up giving 3 stars. Sophie and Grey, this is 5 or 6 years after the beginnings of after the events of the first book. They finished their degree, or Sophie has finished her degree, and they're going to go back to London. And they're taking Lucia McNeil with them because she is going to be marrying, why can I never remember their names? Roland, I think, is the second son of the King of England. They're going to meet before they end up getting married, so Sophie and Grey are going with her. God, why can I not remember? And Lucia and Roland kind of start out awkward, but over the course of the book, you can see like their love does kind of bloom and blossom. It's cute. It's cute because Lucia is definitely, things are political. You know, she was raised to be a leader. She was raised to take care of people. Whereas Roland, being the second son, does not have that same pressure. So he's more romantic. But they do end up falling in love with each other. So the group of perpetrators responsible for the potential regicide in the first book end up escaping. So Gray leaves to go try to find them, do some reconnaissance work. He ends up being drafted into the Emperor of Gaul's army. So there's a villain in this book called the Emperor of Gaul. And it turns out to be the Duke of Orleans, who's apparently like stupid powerful. Sophie and her family, or Sophie and her friends, go back to Merlin College because once upon a time there used to be a college for women called the Lady Morgan College. Well, they find out a bunch of stuff relating to when it closed, which includes England having its own kind of magic net. It's stated differently, but basically it's the same principle of it's a magic net. So they go off to this ancient site to try and renew this magic net and its connection to England, while the Emperor of Gaul's forces are creeping up on them. And it's very disappointing because they do, and then taking out the Duke of Orleans ended up being a lot easier than you thought because it literally happens the last 30 pages of the book. Everyone ends up happy and together, and there's, you know, it's all well and good and what have you. And I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood for this book, but it wasn't as good, and the problems in the first two books kept popping up in this one. Hunter has this tendency to literally, in a chapter, between like paragraphs, she doesn't even let you know, switch point of views. Now everything's from third person point of view, but I'll go from seeing it from Gray's point of view to Joanna's point of view about a different matter, and I'm just like, what? You know, you have to do that immediate switch over, and it's a little more than a little disconcerting. And there's, you know, again, no heads up or anything like that. And she also does this, you know, she gets very heavy in the details, and it can be a lot. Like, this book is interesting, but I found myself putting it down. Like, when I'd pick it up, I'd enjoy it, but when I put it down, I'd be like, okay, fine. Like, I'm good for a while putting it down. She gets bogged down in the details, and then it's like, and then we see our heroes running off, and over the course of those weeks, montage happens. Doesn't go into detail, which I can actually appreciate, because sometimes I don't need that that detailed traveling bit to get from point A to point B, but at the same time, it's like, why do you bog down the details? And then are like 3 weeks happens where they're traveling between point A to point B, and then here's the rest of it. And it just is like, okay, I guess. And also, my favorite characters are Gray and Sophie. I want more of them together. I don't mind them apart. They work, they're fine apart, but I want to see them together. That's what I'm here for. But it's not my book. So overall, the series was enjoyable. I was hoping I was going to love the last book as much as I really enjoyed the first two, but she didn't fix the problems I felt were in the first two books. And yeah, that just, I might not have been in the mood for this at the time, but I still read it and it was just like, overall it was okay. So alright, time for another shout out. Today I'm going to be making a shout out for Prince Charming Dev. I have only recently discovered him, but I'm really enjoying his content. He does a lot of travel stuff. He especially does the theme parks down in Orlando, and especially since all the COVID or the new COVID protocols have started going into place, he's been really good about which parks are enforcing the mask rule and which ones are enforcing the social distance rule. Some are doing better than others, but he seems like a really personable guy, and I've really enjoyed his content so far, and I definitely recommend him to check out. Black-owned bookstore is For Keeps, and their website is very minimal. They're just like, here's what we got, here's what you can buy, and I can kind of appreciate that, and the fact that it's like, we're not going to bullshit you, we're not going to have a whole lot of extras, things you're not going to need, any frilly things. It's just like, got books, it's black, rare, and classic books is their little tagline. I can appreciate what they're doing, their whole thing. It's simple, but I'm here for it, so shout out to them. I hope this gives you some idea of whether or not you want to read the Midnight Queen or the Noctis Magicae series. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and I was curious because I see the book pop up from time to time, usually on the discount book websites or what have you. But I hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the book, or books, or trilogy, or what have you, and I will see y'all next time.